Hello, welcome to this amazing masterclass, which is going to be about logic. And as the title goes, how and why logic can kill our wealth, our leadership, and happiness. How many times you've done everything right? You tried to do everything as it's supposed to be, and things didn't go the way you planned, or even worse, you've got an absolutely different at a different destination. Things absolutely didn't go the thing you were planned to go, even if they were right. Maybe you have a conversation with an employee in your team, and you said everything right, but what you said didn't reach or did not accomplish the mission or what you thought you meant. How many times you followed the plan and you try to do everything right because logic is answers for your righteousness so that you do everything right, but then things don't go the way you plan. So my question is, have you observed that sometimes a little bit of something else change the whole game? If you add a little bit of trust in the process, things go much better. If you add a little bit of empathy in a conversation, things go in absolutely different direction. So what is this more that we can add to the logic so that we can grow and we can expand and we can achieve what we put our mind to achieve in all directions, not only in our work, in our business, not only in our relationships, but also in our inner state. What is the quality of our own lives? So you might already observe one thing, that when we try to trust our mind is because we are a little bit afraid of something else. We are afraid that thing might go wrong, so we try to prevent every negative outcome so that we can have a justification for our mind that everything is going to be all right. And when things don't go all right, we start to blame our mind, or we start to blame somebody else because they haven't done something right. So they were not logic in every step of the process. So today I want to share with you something which is about this more. What is this more that helps us to become better leaders, to increase our wealth, and to increase the quality of our life? So in the first part of this masterclass, I'm going to share with you a little bit of about the structure of what's a human being, the basics, because I assure you many of us don't know. In the second part of this masterclass, I'm going to share with you three things that are going to be about this more. What is this more that we need to integrate with the logic, with the thinking, with the right way to do specific things or everything? What are those three qualities that cannot really be compatible or cannot really thrive with the logic, but the art stays or our mission stays right into this ability to bring these two aspects together? And this is what we're going to start with. What are these two aspects? So you already know you have a mind. So when your mind is in positive, it's above the ground level, then you are positive. You see the light in the end of the tunnel. You are creative. When your mind is clear, so you can think straight. So what else? You maybe have a suggestion. You're creative. You're positive. You're full of enthusiasm. All right. What else? When our mind is clear, when your mind can think straight, you're so are generous, but generous is going to be something else. We have also a heart where we have an emotional aspect of ourselves. So when our heart is in the positive, we are generous. All right. Well, what else? We're generous. We have great intentions. All right. We're grateful. We're grateful. We're grateful for what we have. We're grateful for who is working for us. We're grateful for all the opportunities. What else? We have also a great emotional management, emotional management, emotional management, emotional management. All right. What else? We might experience also joy, and we also are rich in empathy. And those who are on Instagram right now probably are not seeing because this is the whiteboard is going a little bit above. All right. And when our mind is in the positive, we're full of enthusiasm, we're creative, we're positive, we're also fast at thinking. We're fast thinking thinkers. All right? So we have these two aspects, and the heart wants to experience its own positive, and the mind wants to experience its positive. But when we are in the negative, then our mind is negative, everything is dark. What else? Everything is dark. We don't see the bright aspect of our lives, of our business, of your project, or in other people. Everything is dark. What else? You might be also a little bit depressive. Might be sad. All right. So of course we feel a little bit like this, a little bit like that from time to time. But there are people which are constantly in these states, in the negative, and the lower levels of consciousness. Let's look at the heart, at our emotional aspect of what makes us us. All right, what makes us human. In the heart, when we're in the negative, we might be greedy. We might be a little bit selfish. We only think about ourselves and about our pain, and we're egocentric. We only think about our interest, egocentric. All right. So when these are egocentric, when we are in the negative, whether we speak about the mind or about the heart, this might be some of the aspects that or the experiences that we go through. Now, when we listen only to the heart, joy, empathy, and we want to experience great emotions and want to be grateful for everything, we might forget about working. Here we can also put productivity in the mind. When the mind is in a positive, we're so productive. We are amazed about ourselves. Like, we've done so much in such a short time because our mind was just clear. So when we are experiencing a positive aspect in our hearts, we want to forget a little bit about the mind aspect. When we are in the mind aspect of the positive, we ignore a little bit of the heart because we want to get things done. We're full of enthusiasm, we're visionaries, we're positive, we're creative, and we're in that state. So it's hard to mix these two aspects together. So when we mix them together, then we can now bring another player in this arena, which is the consciousness. The levels of consciousness indicates the harmony that we have between our minds and our hearts. Because the mind wants to get things done, wants the results, but the heart wants joy, wants to feel peace, wants to experience a great time with your friends, with your colleagues. You just want to experience and prolong that bliss for as long as possible. And if we master the art of combining these two worlds, these two dimensions, then we have high, great levels in our consciousness or a low level of consciousness. So, what does it have with the logic? What does it have with the logic, and how this logic can kill the wealth and the happiness and our wealth and the leadership? How is that possible? Because when you listen only to the mind, you start to focus on what the mind can do. Productivity. So you care so much about being productive that when you have a conversation with an employee, then you want to get things done. And you are in that state. But your employee probably is not right in that state at that moment. So, of course, there is a line. There's a line between being responsible and when some of our employees are losing a little bit, and we have to remind them what's the mission, what's the vision, what's their responsibility, and so on and so forth. But there is still a human aspect to it. I remember once, some years ago, I was working on a project of nutrition and fitness programs. As my background is personal training, athletic coach. And I remember once I was at the beginning of that project, and I was so focused on just getting things done and let's go faster, let's go. And I remember I showed up at the, we had to take some video, had to record some videos, and I was in a fire mood. And the girl that was helping me, she was responsible more for the video camera, for the angles and audio systems and things like this. And at a certain point, she stopped and say, "We are not going to do what we set our mind. We're not going to do what we want to do today." I was like, "Why is that so?" Because your energy and your ignoring everything around brings so much negative energy that I cannot operate in the presence of such an energy, period. At that time, I got angry. At that time, I thought that she doesn't believe as much as I do believe in that project, or that she's not involved as much as I am involved in that project, which was not true. The fact is that I thought to do it right. We have 2 hours, we have to accomplish this, we have to push, we have to do 1, 2, 3, X, Y, Z. The fact is that not always that is a great thing. We need to bring that spirit, that energy, and that team, and even if you are 2 people, you are already a team. And the spirit, the energy that you're going to bring into this team, it's everything that matters. What is the leadership skill that you bring to the table? Are you in control of the situation, or you feel so forced, so influenced by that pressure that you have in your mind, and what you bring is, you think that you bring positive energy, but that is absolutely perceived as a negative energy because you bring stress, you bring this energy which can explode, and people are not. And the first thing that we're going to discuss, what the logic kills, is creativity. Logic kills creativity. Now, before we talk about a little bit about the creativity, let's come back to the whiteboard. It's true that we want to try to stay in the positive state in both directions, in our heart and in our minds. But both the mind and the heart have their shadow aspect of their nature. They have a bubble of energy which is still part of us. For example, a little bit of jealousy, a little bit of selfishness, a little bit of being a little bit negative or a little bit depressive. That's still part of ourselves. That's not something that we have to try to always take it out. It's part of ourselves, and sometimes it helps. When you're a little bit sad and you're a little bit reflective, great things might happen because you start to see where you have to push a little bit more and where you have to slow a little bit down. So we want to remember these things, these 2 things, 2 aspects about ourselves, that we can be in the positive and we can be in the negative. Now, the beautiful art stays into connecting all of these together so that we might allow also those negative emotions to have their place, to allow also that ego to help us a little bit sometimes when we are a little bit distracted or unfocused. So we have to integrate these two together. Sometimes that's very visible or evident in art people, in art creative people, when they create these raw, as we can say, this raw creation. When you look at that picture, that painting, and you see there is so much weight to it, there is something that transcends our mind, and we start to experience something. We're in that piece of music, and we listen to it, and we say, wow, something is going on within myself. What is that? Well, that is the reflection of what that creator, that artist, was experiencing in the moment of the creation of that art piece. That's why when we put a little bit of that below, if we look now in our chart, if we can call it so, when we can tap in our shadow aspects of who we are, we can find so much energy there. And if we can consciously choose how many percentage of this negative or this depressive or reflective, for example, aspect of ourselves, how much of it do we need in a specific moment, and bring it into the conscious aspect, then we can use it. How many times the emotion helped you to get something done? It wasn't right, but that emotion said, let's get it done until we don't stop until we get it done. It's 2 or it's 3 o'clock in the morning, and you're working on that thing and you're getting it done. Isn't that amazing? How that emotion of empathy, or when you care so much about your client and you're working on something that you know you can do it tomorrow, but you're pushing so much so that you can end it tonight. So that emotion sometimes can be so revealing, so powerful. When we try to do everything right, we focus on rules, we focus on formulas, and on what we were taught, or maybe we read somewhere that we have to do this thing in a way or another. And that's very, very limiting. So let's move forward. What are those 3 things, 3 aspects of ourselves that might be killed when we rely only on the logic, only on doing things right? The first one is creativity. The first one is creativity. Creativity is such a thing that it is not right. When you are creative, you're not following a formula. You're not following something straight. You're not following something fixed. And you allow yourself to be creative. That's why if you try to only do things logically, you lack creativity. And if you are at the beginning of your project, if you are working on something that you are not expert yet, you haven't mastered that skill or that domain, you need creativity. And if you focus on logic, that kills your creativity. And then forget about what are the fruits that creativity brings us. One is strategy. When we are creative, we are strategic. We might observe things that could help. I can leverage this. I can leverage that. Maybe I have this story. Maybe I have this example. Maybe I've gone through this kind of experience. So I can leverage that experience, that emotion, that lesson, or that idea, or that experience that I've gone through, so that I can use it in the process where you find yourself right now. And that's how you use the creativity. But if you are logic, creativity fades out. And strategy brings you efficiency. When you are strategic, you are very, very efficient because you focus on what works and you leverage other powers that you have within you so that you can be much more efficient. So the first one is creativity. If you want to be creative, then probably now is the right moment to ask yourself, do you try to do everything by the book? Do you try to do everything as you were taught? And you forget about your inner spark. You forget about your inner talents. You forget about your own style, your own energy. Because there are things that needs to be followed by the book. And there are things which only your heart can show you and can lead you so that you can accomplish whatever you want to accomplish. If you lack creativity, you have to get out a little bit of that area of fear that says, if I do something wrong, everything is gonna fall apart. That's the voice of your logic. And things in life are not always logic. And if you want to be more creative, now it's time to forget a little bit about the rules, about the fixed rules, and to let yourself to flourish and to express the way you are and to start acting upon your purpose, your meaning, what do you care about, and you start to create what you want to create in your life. And now is that moment which you can start to ask yourself, what are the rules to which I'm so attached? Probably now is the right time to forget them a little bit. The second one, what is the second one aspect that logic really is the enemy of this aspect that we really, really need? So it's in one word, it's very simple, but then we're going to elaborate a little bit. That's timing. What's timing about? What does it mean? Since when timing is so important? Timing. What means the timing? So let's distinguish three phases. Discovery, especially if you are at the beginning of your project or you're an entrepreneur, a coach, a teacher, and you're at the discovery. You're discovering your voice, your direction. What do you're really passionate about? In which area do you really want to succeed and to achieve? The next one, which is mastery. Mastery, it's such a wise aspect of ourselves. It's not about getting better. It's about knowing at what thing do I want to get better. So that this mastery, we can talk, we can create and have an entire couple of hours speaking about mastery, how to find the right skill that is really aligned with all your desires and with all the capabilities and abilities which are already within you. So that's mastery, and to master mastery is a mastery in itself. And the next one is leadership. After you achieve mastery, leadership, after you acquire mastery in something, you can become a leader in that area or in that direction, in that domain. And you cannot be a leader if you haven't achieved mastery. And you can't achieve mastery if you don't allow yourself to go through discovery. Now, logic says, let's go for that because that's what we're looking for. So you have a dream, you have an idea, and you have a scenario for your life, and that's what you want to get. Without these stages that helps you together, it's almost impossible. You can try, but it's going to be not meaningful. And you're not going to acquire leadership in that area. Because people see, people feel. And if you want to become a leader, first is, why do you want to become a leader? Why do you strive to achieve leadership? Why? So if you ask yourself that this question, why do you want to achieve that leadership level? If the answer is because I like the title, because I like to be in the leadership position, that's a childish approach. When you have really discovered, who you are, and what's the direction, discovery, what are your shadow aspects, what are your negative aspects, how you have to know yourself. What's the worst output that might happen if you let yourself to get into the negative state? You have to know your limits, and you have to test them. You have to know them, because if not, things trigger, stress, pressure comes in, and you lose your pants because you haven't discovered, you haven't tested yourself. Forget about mastery. You haven't put in the work in order to achieve that level of mastery, and you can't acquire the leadership. So you want to be a leader, you want to become the best in your area, in your industry, or in your domain, but you lack mastery. Now, timing, which is the second one, is not logic. Logic says, I want this, that's how you get there. But you've got to respect the timing of when it's time to focus on marketing, when it's time marketing is in mastery, and when it's time to understand what's your mission, what's your product, what's the service. For example, I can tell you that if you lack sales in your business, you've got a marketing problem. And if you've got a marketing problem, you've got an empathy problem. Why is that so? Because most of the people care so much about their clients giving them money than they care about their clients getting results. So there is time when you have to focus on what's the quality of the results that you want to bring to your clients. Who is the client that you want to serve? That requires time so that you make sure that you're on the right path. Then it requires mastery in order to communicate that value to your perfect client. And if you focus first on revenue, if you first focus on you getting their money, which is a priority in your business, you don't have income, you don't have a business, you focus more on that than on the first, failure is guaranteed. Suffering is guaranteed. Self-doubt is guaranteed. Because you haven't focused on the right thing at the right time. And that is not logic. When you start to build your business, you think about logic. You start your own business because you think that I'm gonna be rich, I'm gonna make money, I'm gonna help millions of people, and everything's gonna be amazing. That's what your logic says. Look, if you go there, you get this. If you get a job, you get that. If you do this job, if you work for this, for them, that's what you get. If you work for yourself, you look around, oh, they work for themselves, they own their own business, then that's what we're going to get. That's what logic says. And timing is not logic. Therefore, logic, when you think on what rationally, think on things that are not rational, comes from your heart, then you're doomed to fail and struggle. And if you do not reflect upon what aspect of my being as a human being am I using when there is time to be rational about things, and when is time to be creative, and when is time to inject some patience, when is time to inject some discovery work, some reflection work. So don't let yourself to be fooled by the rules or by the gurus that are telling you, you need this, you have to do that, and you do only this. That's the only problem you've got, and you solve this problem, that's what you get, and everything's going to be amazing. All the answers are within you. And what I'm sharing with you today are mere tools, mirrors that you have to shift so that you can find the answer within you, so that you can find your own balance. Because there are people which are far from logic, and they've got to become a little bit more logic. Because remember, everything you create is a reflection of who you are. And if you as a human being, you're a mix of both, of the divine and the human, of the heart and the mind, of the shadow and the light, meaning and purpose is the mix of you and everyone. That's who you are. And this oneness happens in your consciousness. And the more you are aware of this duality, the more the higher is the integrity that you get within you. So everything you create is a reflection of who you are, and it's a reflection of the level of the awareness that you have about this duality and your ability and capability to integrate them together. So your business is a reflection of your skills, of your leadership skills, of your mastery skills, of your timing ability to know when is the right time for one thing or for the other. When it's time to be creative and when it's time to be critical thinking, moving logically forward. So there are people which are too logic and they lack creativity. They lose this touch with the timing. They are always impatient. They're suffering a lot, and they go through from one failure to another until they start to learn. And the sooner you start to learn about yourself, the faster you get wherever you want to get. It's not in your ability, the problem. It's in your capability. You are able, but it's a choice to become capable of. Ability is in everyone. Capability is a choice. What kind of choice are you going to make today? This is the question. How much time do you allow to these both aspects, to your logic, to your thinking, and to your feeling, to your emotions, so that you can integrate them together to that degree, to that formula, to that proportion, which is functional for you and for your business. That's why timing is another thing which can really be killed by your logic, by your thinking. Allow yourself to respect the timing of the things, of cycles. Now, look at this thing. How many of you have had probably to bring this picture into the presentation? How many of you have seen that picture where there are like a bigger stone and there is another stone which have absolutely different forms, and there is another one, there is another one, and there is another one, and somehow they're vertical and they're standing one upon another. How many of you have seen this picture? I'm sure you've seen this creation of how they put a stone on another, or maybe some artists are creating this. They're putting an object on top of another object, and they find in the perfect way. They find this equilibrium, this balance, and things are just amazing. You look at it, and you just touch one, and everything is gonna fall apart. That is exactly in leadership when you're going through mastery. And you're trying to put one skill upon another, and this skill is a little bit different, a little bit of empathy. Maybe this is a hard skill. Maybe this is a hard skill. This is a logic skill. This is a marketing skill. This is a leadership skill. This is empathy skill, a big one that's going to help you to master everything in life. We should have in the future masterclass another one about empathy. So here's your leadership skill. So you put all things together, one on top of another, and that's how you get to this beautiful creation. And life is very similar to this. And you have to know what stone can be on top of another. You have to test and master. It's not a straight thing, because look, let's look at it this way, about the timing and how it's important to bring the other aspect in your business, in your life, in your creation, on everything we're working on. For example, now that I've just brought this image about these stones which are staying one on top of another. When you're building a building, everything needs to be very, very precise. You're 1 inch off, you've got a problem. You cannot build this tower because it's going to fall apart. So there, you have to be very, very logical and precise. You have to follow formulas. Now, when it's time to decorate your room, because you want to bring your partner, your lovely partner, you want to show or you want to create a surprise, then what do? You start to implement things and information about the person that you want to show this room, or maybe you want to create it for yourself. That's amazing too. Now, the way you're going to decorate it from within, together, all those elements are going to bring a vibe, a vibration, a certain energy, a certain aura inside that room. That it's not logic. You don't need formulas for that. You need creativity. You need to allow yourself to express in the way you're putting things inside that room so that it can bring that comfort, that energy for the purpose of which that house, that home, that room is going to exist. And that's far away from logic. That's something unique. That's something that probably never existed before. That's the same with the timing, is to know when you have to follow the rules, when you have to implement marketing, for example, in your business, and when it's time to implement a little bit of empathy there, or to implement a little bit of satisfying your, not only have a satisfactory level of your product, but to over-deliver and to make your customer happy. Not just to bring something good, bring something great. Let's move to the next one. What is the third element that is the enemy of the logic? The third one is faith. Some people might say it is trust. Well, trust is different than faith. Why is that so? Trust the process. How many of you heard about it? Well, that's interesting because you as a human being, you have the divine part of yourself, aspect, dimension of yourself, and you have the human, the physical aspect of yourself. When you allow them together to exist, your existence becomes a life experience. When we are focused only on our human aspect of ourselves, we only need trust. Trust is going to work. When you focus on both aspects of who you are, you need faith. When you focus on the divine and on your human aspect, trust is not enough. You need faith. Why is that so? Because, for example, if this is the present moment, and this is the past, and that's the future. So here's the past, that's the future. Then everything that happened in the past, you try to squeeze some wisdom out of it, and you want to project it on the future. And you really hope that this wisdom is going to help you to achieve whatever you want to achieve in the future. That is trust. But when you have faith, it's absolutely a different game. You know that that past was there for a purpose, and that future, which you see through the lenses of the desire, you know that they are there for a purpose. The fact that you were born on this planet happened not just because it happened, for a very specific purpose. And your mission stays in discovering it, finding it, and to let it to happen. When you have faith, you are acting on both aspects of who you are, on your human aspect and on your divine aspect of who you are. And I understand it might be a different language for you, and you might be wondering, what is this divine people of who I am? Where does it come? Where is it coming from? And how do I access it? Does everybody has it? Everybody has it. If you find yourself that only a little bit of trust can save the day, then I have a question for you. When you accomplish something and you've done it, and let's suppose that you've injected a little bit of trust into the process, you accomplish it. Are you more joyful because you have accomplished it? Or are you more joyful about the idea of sharing it with others and sharing that moment with those who also worked on this project, or those who really cared about you succeeding through this process? Oh, it's much more joyful to share it with your friends, to share it with your team, with your colleagues, with your family. Why? If only thing you needed was trust, then all the joy should be experienced within and with yourself. But no, you want to experience it with others. How is that so? Because life seeks life. And that part of the divine which is within you wants to be a reflection in others and to bring joy in others as well. Did you think about it? Or did you feel it? Because if you felt it, the source where that feeling came from, that's your soul. That's your soul speaking out and pushing you to do some great things. The mind is executing, is helping to go through. So the mind needs your trust. Your soul needs your faith. Inject a little bit of trust and you'll accomplish whatever you need to accomplish. Inject a little bit of faith and you're going to move mountains. You're going to accomplish the impossible. When you are going to do something which is doable, you just haven't done it before, only thing you need is trust and timing. A little bit of time, but only trust. If you want to accomplish the impossible, you need faith. So if you are afraid of setting goals which are more than you, if you are afraid of seeing, imagining a purpose for your life or for your business which is higher than you, you've got a faith problem. So what you want to ask yourself now, look within your inner side, within your soul, and ask your soul, please, soul, don't listen to my mind. Ignore my mind for a little bit. Let's be just me and you. What do we want to accomplish in this life? What's the mark that I want to leave behind? What is that greater purpose which I feel that I can see in front of myself, but I cannot really imagine how I can do it? Can you please elaborate a little bit more? Close your eyes and see it. And you will see it. Because faith moves mountains. Trust just helps you moving along the way. So, in conclusion, or before the conclusion, you'll need, when you work with, let's bring the whiteboard on the game. Let's go. When you're working with other people, then you also start to realize one thing, that again, the past and the future. This is the past, this is the future. If you are only you and you are just by yourself, you are going to be very biased, because everything, all the experiences from the past are going to go through your perception. All right? And when you look into the future, that's going to be your perception. That's your perception about the future. And you're going to be very biased because you don't know both of them, the future and the past, because the past that you have in your mind has passed already through the lens of your perception, which is not the real past. It's your own reality about the past. So when you are by yourself analyzing your past and projecting your future, you are biased. Is that wrong? Is that bad? Absolutely not. That's a great thing. That makes us human. It was like, oh, wait a second. Being biased, it's a great thing. Yes, because that makes us unique. Because if we could see the whole picture, the whole reality, oh, that would be very overwhelming. The question is, are you ready to bear that pressure? Oh, we can hardly bear already what we can see, which was already passed through our perception now, and it's hard sometimes. Now ask yourself, are you ready to bear the whole reality of the whole world and the real reality of the past and the future? I doubt that there are human individuals that could do that. There are some very enlightened people in the world that could bear the whole amount of it, but that's another conversation for another day. Now, when you have a team of 10 people, Now, the perception is going to be a mix of perceptions. Perception 1, perception 2, perception 3, perception 4, perception 5. But the beauty of it, that the mix of these perceptions are going to lower the level of your bias. And you might say, when someone speaks about and they're experts in something, you might say, that doesn't make sense. What they're talking about, I have a different experience. And you have to trust that person, that they got something, they have an expertise. Is that they're biased in something else, but you're biased in something different. But the things in which you are not biased, that's what makes you great. And no matter the fact that you see the other aspects in which they are biased or they lack something, if you are capable of not allowing that wisdom to see all the things in which they are biased or in which they are not great, put it aside. The only thing you need, that they're not biased in that aspect or in that dimension that is really needed for the project or for the mission that you're on. Leadership. The title goes, How Logic Kills Leadership. And wealth. Wealth is with the timing. Leadership is with this bias, to know that when you bring people together, and you have to ignore a little bit the logic, because the logic says, oh, they've done this wrong. Oh, probably they're wrong in everything. We have to punish them. We have to eliminate the wrong. That's what the logic says. What wisdom says. Wisdom says, are they good at this element or this skill or this aspect for which the individual is needed in this project? What is the meaning that individual sees behind this action, so that they can pour themselves into your, which is not your business. You're the owner or the CEO of the business, but that's not your, is the byproduct of this big, beautiful, amazing team. But we as humans, we are very tempted to see only the ugly. We only, especially if you're a perfectionist, if you want to achieve great things, only as soon as you see something that's not working, where it's not right, you've got to adjust these. And we forget about the great aspects of every individual. And when you think about bringing a little bit of greatness from one, a little bit of greatness from somebody else, a little bit of greatness from somebody else, a little bit of greatness here, a little bit of greatness there, together, that's how you lower the bias level. The bias goes down, and you increase the success, the advancement. The success, not as a cliche word, but that advancement, the succeeding aspect of your project, so that you move forward, so you can fulfill your mission, your vision, the purpose that you have for your business, for your life. This requires not only, so the interpersonal aspect requires trust, and still not enough. You've got to have the faith that, hey, we're going to get through. I know you've got greatness in you. I know you've got some greatness in you. I know you've got some greatness in you. I know you've got this greatness. I know you're great at this. I know you're great at that. And that's what a leader does. They see the greatness in everyone around them. They bring this greatness together. They work step by step on things which are less great. And they know how to choose the right people for the right mission, because it's enough, a 1% of greatness of an individual to be involved in a project. This little light, this little spark starts to fill with light the whole existence of their lives, of your project, of the whole team. If you allow someone to express their greatness, to be great, to bring their greatness at something in your team, miracles are going to happen. And this process requires faith, not logic. What I'm speaking about is not logic, but that's what increases the leadership skills. That's what increases the happiness levels in everyone, in your team, in your life, in your business, and the purpose of your business, and the purpose of the existence of your business, and the mission that you are here to accomplish. And your soul needs to have a voice if you just allow it yourself to listen. If you could only shut down a little bit the logic when's the right time, so that you can listen to it. If you go to exploreselfmba.com, one of the programs is called Allow Yourself to Rise. It's the premium product. Now we have 3 programs at exploreselfmba.com. It's somewhere on the, it should be right at the bottom of this frame. So you can see it. exploreself.com is right here where my forearm is. exploreself.mba.com. You go there, you can see other programs that might suit your need. Allow Yourself to Rise is about knowing how to dissect all the parts of what makes you you, your mind, your shadow, your ego. What is this? What is this? What is that? So you know what's the role. Every module is long enough. It's not too long, an hour and a half, every module, 12 modules. And you'll go through learning a little bit what makes you you, what's the functionality of every aspect, and then bringing formulas for you so that you can manage these parts of what makes you you, so that you can live in an integrated way, putting both aspects of who you are, which are not both. There are many, many others. But in this case, the feeling and the thinking, the logic and the faith, the timing and the precision, the creativity and the rules. And when we can master these aspects together, then is when we are going to build wealth. I remember in my when I started not my first, my second business, that failed, another failed, just few succeeded. Most of them were failures, and the path was the most beautiful path. Ask me right now, if you could go backward and find yourself at the beginning of that failure or that project which just didn't succeed, doesn't mean it was a failure. It just didn't succeed the way I thought it should succeed. That success was of absolute another kind of nature. So ask me now, if you could go backward and go through again, through what you've been, and I can guarantee you success, but you're not going to get the lessons that you've got. I immediately put there a long number of zeros. Now put a 1 at the before it and a percentage sign at the end of it. That's the assurance, the certainty that I do have, that I'm not going to take that option. You see that when we look logically, we are like a sharp knife. We cut things from left to right, from logic and unreasonable. We are very good at cutting things in two. And as long as we are very good at cutting things in two, we get better and better at cutting things and separating things. But what we really should get better at it is unifying, bringing different aspects together so that we can escape the mind control and we can start to control our minds. When your mind controls you, we lose our sanity. And when we start to control our minds, we start to bring up our spirituality, the other aspect of what makes us us. So in conclusion, my suggestion for you is to stop ignoring the three aspects of what makes you great. Creativity, faith, which is a little bit different than trust. Creativity, faith, and timing. To know when's the right time, to know when is a space for faith, and where is time to ignore a little bit the rules and to be wise. Because bring these three together and you've got wisdom. And wisdom succeeds the thinking and the reasoning millions and billions of times. And if you want to know more about the wisdom, you want to become a wisdom master, go to exploreselfmba.com, which you can see it right here at the bottom, on the right of the video frame. Go there, the link is in the description below, and you can find more tools for wisdom so that you can achieve mastery and leadership. Let these three aspects of you to have their space in your existence, in your life. And that might seem a little bit against the logic, but this is going to increase your life experience, to bring you success and the leadership skills that you're looking for, and the happiness and the wealth. All these three are going to flourish together if you start to expand your being, and you give a certain amount of power to your logic, but not too much, and also not forgetting to bring it in the game as well. Thank you for your attention. If this was useful, if that changed the way you look at things, leave in a comment in the section below and share your experience. What was the biggest thing that had an impact in your thinking and your feeling through this experience that you've been while watching this masterclass? Share it with someone that you really believe and think and believe that they need to watch it, to see it, so that they can succeed, their lives can become better, because this is the mission at exploreselfmba.com. This is my mission for me personally, for which I'm grateful for your attention, and I'll keep doing what I'm doing, and we'll see each other in the next masterclass. Thank you. Take care. Bye-bye.